one.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Vashlus. If you didn't already know or weren't watching the previous videos, this is the final update for my Spear Throw Amazon. And that's right, Spear Throw only. There are a couple of other things that I used while leveling. I'll try and go over those. Hopefully I don't forget. But primarily I'm going to be going over the notable unique items that I'm using, other stats that you may care about. I'll go over my passive tree. I'll actually link a POB since I'm going to be ending the character here and moving on towards getting ready for last Epoch's new cycle here on the 17th, just about 2 days. And what else? I'll go over the skills and support gems and maybe even some runner-up support gems that you could have some fun with. So I will go ahead and start with the skills, I think. So for Spear Throw, I picked up 2 spears. That way I had 1 spear for AoE and then another spear for single target. Means you need a little bit of weapon swap skill speed, but whenever you pick up skill speed, it also affects the same modifier, so it's really like one and the same. For the AoE spear, you'll want Pen, because Spear Throw, if you didn't know, can consume a frenzy charge to make it deal a very high damage explosion. It doesn't have that great of a radius. It's only 2 meter radius, in fact, it's pretty small. But 625% damage. That is about double the damage of your regular Spear Throw. And Spear Throw already has a pretty good attack damage effectiveness at 337% at level 17. They made it so that it scales an additional 8% damage per level, and it naturally gains those sockets. I believe at level 20, you're going to unlock that level, or that 6th socket. And yeah, Pen allows you to gain frenzy charges through using Combat Frenzy. That's really all there is to Combat Frenzy. You pick it up whenever you can, and it lets you start generating frenzy charges so that Spear Throw can consume them for big, fat, juicy explosions. Fork makes it so that every fork projectile that has consumed a frenzy charge also does the explosion. So you can clear packs really easily just by slapping in fork support. You can also put in Gamble Shot, you could put in Volt, you could put in Chain support if you don't mind the 50% less damage. I went with Gamble Shot because it's only 15% less damage. I think Pierce is a little clunky with Fork, but whatever. Whenever the chain happens, you immediately notice how fast it helps you clear packs. And that's really what this spear setup is for. I also put in a Primal Armament. My main idea behind that, instead of going with like an infusion support gem, was that I don't want to give up my freezes, I don't want to give up my shocks, I don't want to make any of those worse, so I just went with like a more general application. Feel free to change with whatever you want. And then for the single target Spear Throw, I used Execute, Martial Tempo, Lightning Infusion, because that's just far and away the best damage support for attacks, if you ask me. Maybe even anything, because it makes your shocks more universal. Deliberation. Deliberation is what you would start using if you plan on using Row Amount. Row Amount is dubious at best. I don't really like Row Amount. I love Row Amount, but I hate Row Amount. You know what I mean? So you're playing with Row Amount. You may have seen in the small brief showcase there. You take damage, you get a stun bar, you have to roll off and then click back on. Number one, why is it not a hotkey? Why is it not a skill? Why can't I just like press Q, get off, get on, done? There's that. On top of, why can I get stunned? Why can I get, what? There's nothing I can do about that stun bar. There's nothing other than just rolling off and like interrupting my gameplay slash build fantasy, you know? I don't know. I don't really like it at all. I hope that they will get rid of this stun bar for Row Amount. I think it's an incredibly cool skill. It does have bonuses. For instance, it means that you can use your skills at full attack speed or movement speed. So you won't be slowed down while throwing. Very, very good for us. And it also pushes monsters out of the way. You can kind of like bully monsters with the Row Amount. Feels really good. Almost cathartic after they bullied you in 0.1, pushing you all over the place. But the stun bar really is what kills it. You can almost be instantly stunned on top of just, instantly killed because there's really just not that many defenses in the game still. I am absolutely starved of resistances. I died in the showcase because my lightning resistance is so terrible. I don't really, I guess I should say this now, a main reason why my gear is so terrible still is that I'm comfortable trading for unique items, but I am not happy trading for every single rare item. I don't want to buy my rare item upgrades. I want to pick those up off the ground, or I want to craft them myself. There is really nothing else to say about it. I'm not willing to have an argument over it. I think that that is how these games should work. You can trade for things that you maybe not find all that commonly, but then like shouldn't I have like some reasonable expectation, like, yeah, I can pick up upgrades off the ground without investing like hundreds of hours? Because I have certainly played this character for quite some time. What's my / played? I've played for 4 days, 7 hours, 8 minutes, 15 seconds on this character alone. I've got multiple characters, and I respect from Ritualist before starting this one. So yeah, I have absolutely poured a lot of love into this character and trying to make it feel good, but unfortunately there are just some parts that don't really make sense if you ask me, such as the stun bar from Roa, and availability of defenses. This is an extreme glass cannon. I picked up Wind Dancer. I was using what's it called? Let me find it real quick. It's a persistent effect buff. Wind Dancer, Herald of Blood, Attrition. Yeah, I was using Attrition, but with presence radius, it's really bad. It's at 4 meter radius, which sounds like a lot. Like, it looks like a fair amount of distance, but really it's extremely small. You're almost never going to have it up when you need it in a single target situation because of that small radius. And you could even get, plus 50% increased presence radius, but that's still only going to bump you up to 6 meter radius, which is pretty negligible. Alpha's Howl is a helmet that doubles your presence radius, but I wish that modifier was just like more available elsewhere. Like maybe even just double presence radius outright, because it's just a little too small, if you ask me. And there is that with the persistent buffs. I picked up Herald of Thunder after getting rid of Attrition. Wind Dancer has Blind, Punch Through, and Ingenuity, since Wind Dancer is a melee attack. Punch Through knocks them, and it also knocks things back. It synergizes well with Punch Through. Ingenuity for lower cooldown reduction, get those stacks up faster. This doesn't really even help us. You get one shot really easily, or two shot really easily. Stun is a death sentence. Herald of Thunder is just some extra damage after you kill something with shock. Disengage is only useful if you're really, really in a pickle, cornered, trapped by a bunch of different monsters in a corner or something. And that is it for the support gems. You can try and put in whatever you want, but that's what I did. As you're going through the campaign, I would highly recommend that you pick up a skill called Spearfield. Where is it? Yeah, Spearfield. I would highly recommend that you pick this up as you're going through the campaign, because it will do amazing damage to anything that is approaching you. If it's not approaching you, this skill is burger buns. It doesn't do any damage. But as long as something is walking towards you and you're kiting backwards, Spearfield is great. Great damage. Great quality of life, too, because it applies a slow. And it really helped me get through Act 1, the Count Geonor fight, because all of those wolves, before they started patching it, were super, super fast. And Spearfield really, really shined in that aspect for me. What else can I give a comment on? You can level with Rake Stomping Ground if you really want. I didn't want to make this a bleed character because I just wanted to use Spear Throw. Wanted to see how it felt. And in all honesty, the damage is there, especially with Tangletongue. You guys got to try this spear out. Forking critical hits, really super, like, just mind-bogglingly powerful. I'll just read it for you real quick. Hits with this weapon roll against their critical hit chance twice when determining if they are a critical hit. If either roll succeeds, the hit will be a critical hit, and thus the critical damage bonus will apply as normal. If both rolls succeed, then the hit will be a critical hit, and the critical damage bonus will apply twice to that hit. Double crit damage. And if a modifier makes your critical hit chance lucky, that luck will apply individually to both of these rolls. Super, immensely powerful line in just a few words right there. Forks critical hits. Tangletongue should be your spear of choice, if you ask me, as it opens you up to scaling that passive tree through critical strike chance and critical damage bonus. Huge, huge, huge damage. Damage. Other than that, for the passive tree, I would say you're picking up movement speed everywhere that you can. I should have even picked up these 2 small nodes for an additional 4%. Attribute requirements are still atrociously high, so you're going to have to focus on that, either your gear. I really don't like getting attributes on my gear. I think it should be solved through the passive tree, and so that's kind of how I tried to path. You'll be picking up some good attributes through the crit nodes as well, so heartbreaking and heart stopping, very useful. I think over here, does it give you any attributes? Yeah, 10 intelligence there, 10 dexterity. So more synergy for going crit with Tangletongue. There's a little bit of a downside with Cooked, 15% reduced global defenses. I'm going to be honest, I don't really know if Inspiring Ally is worth it. The easy going, almost absolutely not worth it. It just doesn't really give you a whole lot of spirit back. You're probably going to be more interested in spending those elsewhere. Not going to say never, but like, you know, and how it felt while I was leveling up at endgame, I felt like easygoing suddenly became extremely low priority because I realized a lot of the persistent effects are just negligible at best and not really providing me anything other than like brief windows of usefulness. And yeah, critical strike, attack speed, accuracy, chance to shock, chance to freeze, movement speed, attributes, attack damage. You can pick up splinters, you can pick up primal sundering. I wouldn't really weigh those as heavily as everything else. I don't even know if maiming strike is like super high priority, but anything with movement speed, attack speed, critical strike chance, it's pretty good. Other thing I should comment on is death with dance, or death with dance, dance with death. Jumbling my words all over the place. Is the keystone that kind of decided what kind of character we were going to be. 25% more skill speed while your offhand is empty. It's a massive, massive downside. So we can't use any shields or dual wield, and we get a whole heap of skill speed in return. It feels really good. Like I said, we're a glass cannon, so something even sneezes in our direction, we die. I've been trying to get my upgrades by just playing the game instead of playing the auction house. And I've gotten pretty close to capping my resistances, but it doesn't even really, like, even with cold damage and fire damage, it still feels like I just get absolutely obliterated. Lightning damage, it's like, if it even touches me, I'm dead. But, you know, I just don't feel like I have felt my resistances even make a dent in a lot of the elemental damage that I'm taking. Part of that is probably that my life value is just so low. They didn't include any life nodes in the passive tree this round for some reason. That was like one of the easiest slam dunks they could have possibly done, is just, why do I have to stack strength in order to increase my life value? Kind of cringe. But hey, if you find this build fun and you want to find out how to make it a little bit more defensive, there's your answer. Don't be a life build. You should pick up things like energy shield wherever you can, and then evasion, because armor still sucks. So bestial skin. What else is it? I think it's Spectral Ward is another popular one, and then Subterfuge Mask. There's a lot of good energy shield nodes on the path that I'm currently showing you, so feel free to play around. If you want to go that route, you'll need a whole lot more intelligence. Maybe you decide that Thrill Steel isn't the best choice, and you go with that helmet that reduces attribute requirements. I forget what it's called, but certainly a good choice there. Gives you some chaos resistance as well. Yeah, Thrill Steel is definitely like a defensively bankrupt choice, but it really does ramp your damage up to 11. And movement speed is kind of king. You could transition this build over to Lightning Spear if you want, but then you're playing Lightning Spear just like everybody else. And I guess I should go over the other uniques now. Again, I talked about them before in my previous videos, but we're still using Idle Hands. I corrupted it for 2 sockets, 24% lightning resistance. Socket everything with lightning resistance, basically, because that's what I've been struggling to find. Thrill Steel, yeah, I think that's it, really. I mean, armor evasion, because I don't have enough intelligence for more energy shield. I haven't picked up any energy shield nodes, so there's no reason for me to pick up that gear. Been picking up just about every single rare item, identifying it, spending lots of currency trying to craft my own stuff, mostly resulting in failures. Even if I hit like level 20 on the spear throw, I don't really feel like the gameplay is going to change by a meaningful degree that I would feel encouraged to continue playing or pursuing that as a goal. I literally can't support Combat Frenzy with a lot of support gems, so there's nothing I can do there. Row amount, I already talked to you about how that's a disappointment, and that I'm not even sure that some of these support gems matter whenever you're riding the Roa. Like, does loyalty even work when I'm riding the Roa? I don't know. I don't think so. And then Wind Dancer, it's like a laughable defensive layer. Like, what is just I mean, hey, you got hit and you knocked him back for a brief moment. There's your defensive layer. And then Herald of Thunder is, you know, maybe one of the most useful persistent effects that I currently have besides Combat Frenzy, but it's an on-death effect and not useful in a single target situation or defense. And defense is really what would be making this character feel more fun. Yeah, I think that's it. I went over the support gems. I went over the notable unique items. I talked to you about the modifiers that we care about, which is basically resistances. On the chest piece, you'll want some spirit. You'll want some spirit on your amulet too, because all of those persistent effects are quite expensive, especially the Roa. For 60 spirit, the Roa is really just almost not worth it. Sure is cool though. It's cool, but currently way too clunky, way too punishing, and very annoying to not have a button that you can't just like roll off and then get back on. I don't know. I'm not saying you can't roll off. I'm not saying you can't disengage, but it just doesn't. It feels like half-baked almost. Row amount feels half-baked. And yeah, passive tree. If I were to ascend, I would pick Penetrate, and then I would probably pick, oh, I don't know, maybe Stalking Panther or Elemental Infusion. But in for the kill is maybe a little bit competitive whenever you're in a single target situation that lasts much longer than the others. You'll have to weigh your options if you find this interesting. But yeah, main reason why I am stopping is that I just don't really see the gameplay changing from where I already have it. There are some interesting things that you can do with the build, like if you take Caltrops support and Fork, you can get a lot of Caltrops out on the ground really easily. It won't fork here, but as you can see, it drops those Caltrops, and they scale off of your dexterity, as well as Thorns damage. So increases to Thorns damage applied to the hit of this, as well as deals 60% of your dexterity as physical damage. So you could go for like a dex stacking build maybe, and try to leverage those Caltrops. The reason why I'm not doing that is there's a bug right now where Caltrops can land on the sides of walls. It can land on like things that monsters will never walk on. It says it can only go 3 meters, which is a really small distance, but it ends up actually being able to travel all the way up on top of the map. Like, you see how there's these dark areas and these pillars? If I like were in a map and just throwing things and like forking the projectile, there's a very high likelihood that these Caltrops actually go on top of the roof, even though there is like no roof, right? Like, there's no way that you can get up there. There's no way that monsters can get up there. Caltrops can, and that's a downside, right? That's a bug. I wouldn't recommend using Caltrops until they fix that, because you're losing a lot of your Caltrops. So that's the biggest runner-up support gem. That'd be Caltrops. And I think the rest of what I was going over was why I am not going to continue, which was I just don't see it changing. I'm sure the game will continue to improve. Don't get me wrong, that's not what I mean. But what I do mean is I don't see this build changing to be any more interesting. I don't see it changing to be any tankier. At least not with how I've set it out to be, and I don't see myself having much more fun playing Dawn of the Hunt because I am genuinely just waiting for the game to drop me gear with resistances on it. And then, as I would want to continue leveling up my persistent gems, I would need more and more dexterity, or like more and more attributes. That doesn't really sound all that fun to me. I've been getting some reasonably good drops. Like, what is it? I've gotten a couple of divine orbs. I've gotten a good amount of exalted orbs. I wouldn't say like currency drops are really my problem anymore here in the end game. Maybe early on that was my problem, but here in the end game, no. I would say it's just like, what is there for me to do? Right? Like, cap my resistances, get some more damage, stop dying. Maybe. Like, that's if I can, like, you know, find the gear with energy shield on it and all the other things that I need on it. Yeah, it just doesn't, like, that doesn't sound very enticing to me. I've been getting super frustrated. Super frustrated at this game lately. And it kind of came to a head recently where I yelled at one of my regular viewers. Their name is Epi, and I just want to go out of my way and say, Epi, I am sorry, dude. You did not deserve for me to, like, yell at you like that. That was not cool. I've been having a bad time lately. And, all I can really say is I'm sorry. You know, there's no excuse. But this game is certainly a contributing factor. Okay? There is no excuse. But I'd be lying if I say that this game is not a contributing factor to me getting grumpier than usual. So, as a result, I've been working on my League starter plans for last Epoch's upcoming cycle, Tombs of the Erased. It's happening on April 17th, like I said at the start of the video. Just about 2 days. And yeah, I'd like to go over my plans. My actual plan is a Zealer. I want to use Multi-Strike as a Sentinel. I don't know what I would ascend into, but Multi-Strike is like the only plan I have set in stone. If it sucks, whatever. But my fallback plan is a Druid that uses Thorn's Totem. Thorn's Totem is, you get it really early, feels inherently powerful. You melt bosses, you can have multiple of them. It has built-in pierce and stuff like that, so you can clear screens. Spriggan Thorn's Druid sounds seriously strong. And then the Zealer is what I actually want to play. I'm hoping it's going to be good. I traditionally play Rogue. I really enjoyed my Blade Dancer playthrough as my first attempt at this game. I didn't beat the game. I kind of gave up on it because I think I got sucked back into the Path of Exile vortex, since they were, you know, releasing content so rapidly. But what people are most likely excited for coming up here for Rogue is the Heartseeker arrow that they've teased. It is exactly like Guided Arrow from Diablo 2. Maybe not exactly like it, but hey, it sure does scream, "Hi, my name is Guided Arrow." And I'm sure a lot of people can't wait to get their hands on that, try it out, relive their Boazon fantasy. As Guided Arrow was more of like a PvP build than a like play through the game build for Diablo 2. So we'll see how it plays. I'm excited to see what people choose for it. It is a potential for us. I'm not going to say it's like what I'm dying to play, because I've just been seeing different content creators' videos say like, this is what I'm playing for sure! So I always try to be a little bit different. If a majority of the population is going towards a certain build, I'll try out some of the others. So there you go. Those are my plans for the upcoming Last Epoch League. Sorry I don't have something more fleshed out for you, but yeah, good or bad, that's what I plan on playing. And for Dawn of the Hunt, I'm sorry guys, but I genuinely don't really find it that fun or compelling to play anymore right now. I genuinely struggle to answer the question of like, why does it make me feel this way beyond all of the other constructive criticism videos that I've already made. So at this point, I would say I'm really exhausted from essentially being a paid beta tester Like I said, I've lashed out at some of my regular viewers, and I am experiencing a great amount of regret and grief over that, and I can only really ask for their forgiveness. But yeah, I don't think I can play much more Path of Exile 2 until I find it less frustrating. I don't know if that's going to just be me taking a break from the game with Last Epoch, but there's a high likelihood that it doesn't go away from me just, you know, taking a break, especially if the things that I find frustrating don't really get addressed. And I don't even really want to go back over the things that I find frustrating because, like I said, I've already got multiple videos on the subject. I've basically like covered the whole game multiple times at this point about how they could make it better, and it's up to them on whether or not they want to pay attention to someone as small as my channel is, and heed that feedback. Right? I'm no Zizarin. Maybe I could try to point Zizarin towards some of my videos and you know, see what they think, but that's a snowball's chance in hell, right? Like, those people don't know who I am, and they probably don't care what I think. I don't even know what a majority of you guys think. Lots of people watch the videos but don't really leave comments, so I'm kind of in the dark often about how my community is feeling, but I've got a general consensus that a lot of people have been pretty upset with Dawn of the Hunt, and I'm one of them. I am certainly one of them, and much to my dismay, I have desperately tried to see the light and enjoy the game while also doing my own thing and not just like play the good build, do the good thing. I really dislike that. A lot of what these games are for me is like, you know, what variety is the spice of life. And if I'm not able to experiment, to me that's a sign that the canary in the coal mine is dead. Interpret that however you will. I know I was speaking figuratively, and yeah, I'm just a little sick of it. I'm a little sick of the vision, I think. And I'm not going to say that the vision is flawed after all of the tuning is said and done, but for Dawn of the Hunt right now, even after those hot fixes and the interview that they've gone on with Zizarin and stuff, I just don't think it's enough. They are addressing good things, but then Jonathan goes on to like another interview and says like, yeah, you know, nothing's gonna get changed unless I like personally go and try it myself and like can experience the same feeling that these other players are. So they're really, I keep saying genuinely, so I'm sorry to keep repeating word use, but there really does seem to be a divide of, are we playing the game correctly? And I gotta say, forced gameplay, forced decisions, forced optimization, or forced really anything, like, if I have to do something, I feel like that is a design failure. And anyone can just say like, yeah, you don't have to do anything. You can build any way you want. Sure, you can build any way you want. That doesn't mean it's going to be fun, right? We're playing a video game, and if it isn't fun, is that the player's fault? Or is that the game's fault? That's where the divide is, right? Like, that's why so many people are saying like skill issue and stuff, and honestly being a little more incendiary than necessary. Gosh, it's almost like infectious, you know? There's just so much negativity in the game right now, if you ask me. Sorry for this long-winded rant, but I feel like I gotta get it out of me. I am really not happy with the game and how it plays currently. From the pacing to how stubborn they seem to be on certain issues. I'm not here to ask for the game to be faster, but it just seems like they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. I wouldn't even say the game is difficult. I would really just say it's annoying and lacks critical elements such as useful defensive layers and I mean, yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just exhausted. I can't do it anymore. I can't keep talking about how I would make the game better because I'm not them. They're not me. That's all there really is to it, right? Like, that's the build. That's my plans. That's how I feel. Thanks for tuning in. You guys are absolutely fantastic. I promise I'm working on my temper. Every time I get angry, I experience a deep, profound unwelling of grief and regret. So I am aware how flawed I am. So take the things I say with a grain of salt. I'm not here to convince you that the game isn't fun. I'm not here to convince you that it isn't worth playing or providing feedback for. But I think I'm at my limit for the Dawn of the Hunt. I think I already said it, but you guys are fantastic. Be sure to let me know what you think down below in the comments. Like and subscribe if you like what you saw here. If you like what I've been saying. Dislike it if you dislike it. And that's it. See you guys soon. Peace out. Have fun.